Evolutionary roots of the night owl. Let's get right into it. Have you ever hit the snooze button for the fifth time, dragged yourself out of bed, and just felt, well, terribly guilty about it? Okay, let's dive into this. Why are you naturally a night owl? It's a hugely relatable question for so many of us, right? In our modern world, which is totally dominated by harsh morning alarm clocks and early commutes, staying up late is basically seen as a character flaw. But to find the real answer, we've got to look past the whole modern 9-to-5 grind and dig deep into the biological core of this explainer. Why do some of us just naturally come alive when the sun goes down?
Right now, society kind of frames late sleepers as a modern inconvenience. You're expected to be up at the crack of dawn, and if you aren't, you're somehow out of sync with the productive world. But as we explore the source material, it reveals something completely different. Being a night owl was actually a profound evolutionary survival trait. So, what we treat today as just an annoyance or a bad habit was, literally, a brilliant adaptation that kept human beings alive for thousands of years. No way, right? But it's absolutely true.
To really get this, we have to talk about chronotypes. So a chronotype is simply the natural, ingrained variation in a human's sleep schedule. And this isn't just a preference, it's a hard biological reality. The research actually points to specific genetic markers, like variations in the PER3 gene, that literally wire this into your system. So you aren't choosing to be a night owl because you lack discipline. Your body's internal clock is just functioning exactly the way it was designed to. These variations in when we naturally feel tired and when we feel alert, they are deeply embedded in our DNA.
Let's move on and see how this builds, because it's time for some time travel. To really grasp why this biological wiring exists in the first place, we need to leave our modern bedrooms behind for a minute. Imagine you're no longer in your comfy house or apartment. Instead, you're sitting around a prehistoric tribal campfire. The night is pitch black, the wilderness is vast, and your tribe is settling down to sleep. Out there in the dark, survival is definitely not guaranteed.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how it completely reframes human sleep as a collective defense mechanism. Enter the Sentinel Hypothesis. This is the core theory from our source material, and it argues that staggered sleep patterns actually protected early human tribes from nocturnal threats. Just think about the logic for a second. If every single person in the tribe fell into a deep sleep at the exact same time, the whole community would be insanely vulnerable to whatever might be lurking in the dark. So, the Sentinel Hypothesis shows us that sleep wasn't just an individual need for rest, it was a strategically staggered community shield.
Let's walk through how a prehistoric night worked in practice. Around 8 p.m., the early birds go to sleep. They're totally exhausted from the day, but the tribe isn't defenseless because others are naturally still wide awake. By midnight, mid-sleepers take over the watch. And then, at 3 a.m., when the world is at its absolute darkest and quietest, our night owls are naturally on duty, wide awake and totally alert. Finally, by 6 a.m., the early birds are waking up fresh to take the morning shift. Those staggered sleep patterns meant the camp was literally never left unguarded. And this brilliantly illustrates the continuous layered resting periods that overlapped because of these varied chronotypes. The literal magic of human survival was right here in this staggered rotation. At any given moment throughout the entire night, somebody in the group was fully conscious and alert. They were acting as the eyes and ears of the community while the rest of the tribe safely recharged. It's like a giant puzzle perfectly fitting together.
So, what exactly were those awake members doing while everyone else was fast asleep? Well, they had some critical, high-stakes survival mechanics to manage. They had to tend the fire, keeping it burning bright to deter wild animals, and actively watch out for predators hunting under the cover of darkness. Without someone naturally awake to handle these ancient night shift duties, a sleeping tribe could, quite frankly, be wiped out before dawn.
Their research puts it perfectly, stating that the night owl in a tribe was actually a vital security guard. So the crucial point is this, and it's really the ultimate narrative payoff of our whole explainer today. If you are a night owl today, you are carrying the genetic legacy of the very people who kept human beings safe in the dark. Your ancestors were the vigilant protectors of the community. Your natural inclination to stay up isn't a modern failing at all. It's an ancient, life-saving badge of honor.
The validating truth here is incredibly simple. You aren't lazy. You're just on ancient guard duty. Next time someone gives you a hard time for staying up until 2 a.m. or struggling to get out of bed at dawn, you can just tell them you're answering an ancient biological calling. Your internal clock is perfectly calibrated to protect the tribe. It's just that, well, the tribe doesn't really need you watching the front door for saber-toothed tigers anymore.
All of this leaves us with a really thought-provoking question to wrap up our explainer.
How would modern society change if we actually accommodated our inner ancient sentinels? If we recognize that these chronotypes are a deeply ingrained evolutionary survival trait, why do we force everyone into the exact same 9-to-5 workday? Imagine a world where we built our schedules around our natural biology rather than fighting against it. It's a fascinating paradigm shift to think about, isn't it? Thanks so much for diving into this source material with me today. Keep questioning the world around you, keep learning, and hey, sleep well whenever your ancient clock tells you it's time.